Alright, what's up, Epic Gamers? Epic Gamer TV here, and today I'm going to be playing Ozark in Roblox. Now, why am I doing this? It's the 1 year anniversary since the Netflix show, Ozark, ended. It's been a year since the finale came out, which is crazy because it feels just like yesterday when it came out. So I found this game through a YouTuber named Cavarex, I think. He has a video playing this game, and that's how I found this game. So we're gonna be playing it, and yeah. Alright, so there's apparently places we can go to that I don't know. I haven't played this game, I don't know how it works. So I mean, let's just check it out and see how this goes. Ozark, it's basically a Netflix show, and it's a Netflix show about, you know, a guy, basically, I forgot what he does, but I think he's an accountant, or he's just, yeah, I think he's like an accountant or something. Yeah, and he's really good with money stuff, and I don't know. Basically, he and his wife Wendy. His name's Marty. He has a wife named Wendy. They have 2 children, Jonah and Charlotte, and they seem like a normal family at the beginning of the show. And you know, Marty gets offered a job by some cartel dude named Dell, and at first Marty declines it, and Dell's being very understandable, like, okay, that's okay. But then you know, Dell's saying you can earn a lot of money from this, and you'll just be doing what you regularly do. Like, it's just gonna be your old job, but just you make more money. So Marty took it. He thought, you know, nothing bad could happen. But, you know, the first time he accepts it, he witnesses someone get killed. And, you know, yeah, it's not a sight to see. I mean, I watched this. I walked in on my parents watching season 4 of Ozark, so I had no idea what Ozark was at the beginning. How do I get in this boat? How do I get out? Basically, we find out at the beginning, you know, when they're doing the cartel stuff. It seems like Marty's cheating on his wife Wendy, right? But no, he's not. It actually turns out to be the complete opposite, that Wendy was having an affair with some lawyer named Gary, and yeah, Marty found out about it. And basically, there's this one situation where Marty, his friend Bruce, and 2 other people who are father and son get into a situation. They get interrogated by Dell, and hold on, what am I supposed to do here? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do here? Oh shoot, I was just right there. Okay. Alright, I'm on the boat. What am I supposed to do with it? There we go. Controls. Okay, there's controls. Okay. Move forward is W. Reverse is S. Where? Where's I'm clicking S right now. Hello. Alright, I figured out how to start my boat, by the way. You have to press E. I watched the beginner's tutorial. I appreciate it. But now we're gonna go drive this boat into the Ozarks. Now this doesn't really look good, I'm not gonna lie. But let's go. We're exploring in the Ozarks. Where can I go? Where can I go where all these other people went? Because, like, in these YouTube videos, they went to some really nice places, and it was pretty nice. Now this just doesn't even look good. This doesn't even look good. Anyways, back to the story. I don't even remember where it was. But yeah, Marty is like an accountant, blah blah blah. They joined the cartel. His wife is on board with it. The first, I guess, devastating tragedy they went through was when they lost their 3rd child in a car accident, because Wendy was pregnant, and they got into like a little car accident. I don't know. I don't know. Season 1, we learn about, I guess, the family. They work for like this. They work for a cartel, the Navarro cartel. They basically just launder money and clean money. Basically, that's just what they do. They're not like killers, but Marty's more moral one. He has morals. Yeah, and but Wendy's a bit psychotic. Jesus Christ, what am I doing? Wendy's a bit psychotic. Like, first time she gets someone framed, or she uses him for blackmail by setting him up, and then it eventually leads the politician to basically kill himself. So yeah, not good. And okay, I see some land. Is that land over there? Nope, it's just water. Is it water? Where am I supposed to go? I'm just wondering, cause like there's a lot of I don't know where am I supposed to go? I'm just I'm just driving in this boat. I don't know where to go. Situation Marty, Bruce, and a father and son get into. They get into a situation where Dell's being interrogating them because someone apparently stole $5 million. Someone stole $5 million, and yeah, it's bad. I mean, if there's one thing you don't do to the cartel is you steal from them. You don't steal from them. Or just mess with them in general, because that's just not gonna end well. Someone was skimming money apparently, but Marty has no idea what's going on, and you know, Marty's saying like, maybe maybe it's just rivals who are stealing, but it turns out Bruce was the one who was stealing from Dell. Everyone's getting killed one by one. They're getting executed. Marty is about to get executed, but he convinces Dell not to kill him because they can launder money in the Ozarks, which is why the show is called Ozark. So they move to the Ozarks, and yeah, they moved to the Ozarks, man. And that's just, yeah, where it basically all starts right there, basically. Yeah, Wendy has her little affair, and Gary ends up getting killed by the cartel, because Marty said that Wendy knows nothing, just to protect her, but apparently, you know, she did. And Dell finds out through going to Wendy or Gary's house, and yeah, they basically throw Gary off a balcony. And Wendy was actually going to run away with Gary, start a new life somewhere. They were just gonna run away, steal all the money. They took all of Marty's money and just were gonna leave. Gary was like an innocent civilian in all this, so he died. But Wendy's trying to justify her cheating, just saying like, people cheat, man, people cheat. It's like, oh, Wendy. So basically, they go to the Ozarks. A lot of crazy stuff happens. There's two people, the Snells. There's the Snells, right? And basically, it's Jacob and Darlene. Those are their names. And Jacob was like a Marine, but they just grow like poppy seeds or whatever. It's basically like drugs. They just grow drugs, and yeah, they're pretty psychotic too. I mean, Jacob is more of a, I guess, reasonable person, but Darlene's the complete psycho. Like Darlene, basically they were selling drugs. There was a pastor in the Ozarks who was preaching on a boat. He has like these little boat meetings where he preaches about God. This guy's name is Mason, this pastor, and he, I guess, yeah, and then the Snells go there, and they have, I guess, customers who go there, like they sneak drugs into the Bible, or the books. It's kind of weird. but they do that. They sneak it in there and then they buy it from there. Marty was gonna build a church for Mason and these people for Mason, but he ends up he doesn't know that the Snells do this stuff, so the Snells basically kidnap him and they confront him about this, and they're like, tell him to get back on the boat and start preaching, because if he starts his own church, they have no product to sell again on near the boats. So yeah, Mason refuses, like he can't preach because he doesn't know who to trust anymore. So Darlene responds by killing Mason's wife. And Mason's wife was pregnant, by the way. So what Darlene did was she basically cut out the baby out of her belly. Yeah, she carved. She delivered the baby basically in a very violent way. That was so messed up, and they didn't show it, thankfully, but just knowing that it happened was pretty messed up, because she was an innocent civilian, and Darlene's the most psychotic character in the show by far. I mean, yeah, there was Marty meets the Langmores. The Langmores, they're basically like poor. They're just poor people living in the Ozarks. They live in a trailer, and their whole family's like a bunch of criminals, except for Wyatt and 3. Wyatt's about to go to college, but and the Langmores, they meet the Birds, and Wyatt and Charlotte, they actually end up getting along. At first they don't, because Wyatt pushed Charlotte off of a boat, I guess, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm just driving in the middle of nowhere at this point. I don't know how I'm supposed to go to, like, how am I supposed to get to Southwest Florida in this game? I'm just wondering. There's a house right there. There's a house right here. I have to look it up. Where is it? Okay, I parked my boat. It's like I guess a little bar. But yeah. So Ozark, they ended up having 4 seasons, and honestly, I mean, all 3 of the seasons were good. Season 4 was by far the worst season, and yeah, I mean, yeah, so let's sum it all up. Basically, in season 1, basically, there's this FBI agent who's been trying to investigate this case of the Navarro cartel. He's been doing operations and stuff, trying to go undercover, investigate the Bird family. I have to like rewatch Ozark, but I don't want to do that again because I watched it from the very beginning and I rewatched season 4, and to memorize the entire thing and sum it all up is kind of hard to do. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the Langmores, the Snells, they're all in the Birds. They're all there. They're all a thing. So basically, there's this storyline of Ruth's uncle. Ruth's uncle's, he's homophobic, right? And there's FBI agent who's trying to get to the Birds, and I guess the Langmores the FBI agent's gay, and the FBI agent ends up kissing the Langmore, Russ, who's Ruth's uncle, just basically out of nowhere, and Russ does not react politely about it, but then later on Russ goes to Roy's house, and they, that. So Russ and Roy, they're in this like relationship, I guess, but they're keeping it secret. And Roy, even though he's undercover, he actually likes Russ, but eventually at one point he's gonna have to stop like getting in this relationship. He has to tell the truth. So he confronts Russ, and he basically has a wire. He wears a wire, and he ends up telling Russ that he knows what he's been trying to do. So basically, the Langmores, they were trying to kill Marty Bird to get his money. They wired a dock. Ruth wired a dock, and she was planning to kill Marty to get his money, but yeah, it didn't happen because Roy unwired the dock. Okay, so quick little update. So it turns out Lake Ozark and Southwest Florida are two completely different games. Yeah, I feel like an idiot. Yeah, so it turns out Lake Ozark, you just drive around in a boat and explore other lakes. That's about it. I thought Lake Ozark and Southwest Florida were all in one game. That's why I wanted to play the game so badly, because I thought they were both one game. Turns out they're not. They're not. Season 1, the Langmores, yeah, tried to kill Marty Bird. Roy and Russ were in a relationship, but Roy's undercover. And Roy's a bit of a sociopath, alright? He's not a good guy, but yeah, he's not a good guy. He used to date this other FBI agent, Evans, that's his name, and it's safe to say that Roy was not the greatest person. Yeah, Evans said he was a sociopath, and yeah. So basically, after Roy, he recruits Russ as an informant to wear a wire against Ruth, because he's like, if you help us, if you help us, I can get you a lighter sentence. Which, I mean, I don't know, man. At this point, it's just kind of weird. But yeah, there wasn't that many Ozark clips on YouTube that you could find. It's about like very specific scenes, but now there's this YouTube channel who upload specifically content dedicated to Ozark clips on YouTube Shorts, so that's pretty cool. So if you guys want to watch any Ozark clips, you can watch that channel right there, because they show like basically everything. Season 1 is just basically, yeah, so when Russ is trying to wear a wire against Ruth catches on to it, and yeah, they were planning to kill Marty Bird and take all his money, but Ruth is actually developing a bond with the Bird family, and Ruth, before the Langmores go and try to kill Marty and drive to his house on a boat, Ruth wires the dock, and she rigged it, and basically it kills her uncles. Boyd gets killed. I don't think her intention was to kill Boyd, but just Russ, but Boyd ended up getting in a crossfire, so yeah, they both die. And yes, it was pretty shocking for me to find that out, because I knew that the uncles were dead. So again, I walked in on my parents watching season 4, so I watched the rest of the series before watching the first 3 series. So finding out that Ruth killed her uncles was kind of, yeah, seeing Ruth kill her, that was Ruth that was behind her uncle's death, was kind of, yeah, kind of shocking to see. And so they live in the Ozarks, the Bird family, and they live with this old guy, Buddy, who lives, I guess, downstairs. Okay, we got this nice little place right here. Looks cool. Can I go inside? Can I not go inside the house? Like, I would like to go inside. Hello. It's like, it's a very nice place. I wanted Charlotte and Wyatt to get together, but nothing came of it in season 4 or season 3 as well. It's kind of weird. Like, they just ignored their whole relationship. For sale. Oh. Okay, there's 1,000,000 credits. Oh, okay, wait, I just got it. Did I just get it? Did I get the house? Can I unlock it? Yes! I have the house. I can lock the house. It's mine now. I forgot how season 1 ends pretty very shocking fashion. Basically, so Jonah was defending himself from this cartel member who snuck in. His name was Garcia, and Garcia was in there. I don't know why he was there, but yeah, Jonah was about to kill Garcia because Garcia was trespassing, and it was self-defense. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but the gun ends up being unloaded because Buddy unloaded the gun while he saw that Jonah was hunting before with the Snells, and yeah. Then Buddy ends up killing Garcia, and Dell finds out, and Dell thinks Marty has something to do with it. And yeah, basically Dell tortures Marty, and Marty basically just stands his ground and says he doesn't know anything about what happened to Garcia. And yeah, that's about it. And so at the end, Marty gets deals negotiated between the Snells and the Navarro cartel. So Dell has partnered up with the Snells, and it seems like it's gonna go well. So it's all good. They're leaving, but then Dell had to be unnecessarily rude and say, "Only Marty Bird can get me to partner up with a bunch of rednecks." And then Darlene overhears that, and she's like, "What was that?" And then Dell repeats himself, and as he's about to finish the sentence, he gets shot in the head with a shotgun. So yeah, that was pretty big. It's unfortunate too because Dell was like I'd say Dell was like the best villain in the show. I mean, Navarro, who's the actual cartel leader, was not as, intimidating or as scary as Dell was. Dell was very scary in the show. It was very, very intimidating. So that's how it ends, and the FBI was ready to get, I guess, uh, Dell and Marty set up. Well, Dell set up. They saw Dell's car, and basically, Darlene actually saved the operation. Ironically enough, because if Dell was alive, they would have caught Dell and Marty in the car together, and would have probably arrested Marty. But it was just Marty and Dell's car, and Roy finds out about this, and he's not happy. So yeah, he also found out about Russ's death, and he was pissed off too. So about season 2, Charlotte wants to emancipate herself from her family, and it's reasonable. They also meet this cartel. This basically the lawyer and accountant, and the accountant for the Navarro cartel. Her name is Helen. She's a true sociopath, but the only time she's not a sociopath is when she's around her daughter. She's actually a good mother to her daughter, and she's very nice to her daughter, but she's just a really terrible person to everyone else except her daughter, because well, yeah, I don't know, it's weird. Yeah, season 2 we get introductions to characters, new characters. One is the hitman, one of the hitmen in the Navarro cartel, Nelson, who is an underrated character in my opinion. He's a complete sociopath too, by the way. But yeah, him and Helen, they're like a big duo, I guess. Big threatening duo. Nelson's a hitman. He shows no emotion whatsoever when he kills people. And yeah, he's basically just a silent assassin. I guess in season 2, what happens in season 2? I'm trying to figure it out. So Ruth's dad is introduced as, Cade Langmore. And he got out of prison. And he's not a good guy. I don't know why Ruth loves her father so much, because he's not even a good guy. He's just straight up abusive. And he's insane. But, yeah, I don't know. But basically, Cade finds out that Ruth killed her uncles, and Ruth explains why. And it's all good, man. So Cade goes and lives with Ruth, Wyatt, and 3. And basically all that. So yeah, Charlotte wants to emancipate herself from her family because, well, I mean, the family sucks. It sucks. Marty doesn't really disagree with the decision. I mean, he finds it reasonable. But Wendy, on the other hand, I mean, Wendy's a sociopath. I wouldn't say she's a sociopath, because she does show some emotion, and she does have, I mean, she knows when she has some morals at times, but she's definitely the worst in the family, in the Bird family. And Charlotte is they ruined Charlotte too. Charlotte is just like Wendy as well. She's like a mini Wendy, which sucks. Jonah's like a mini Marty, but Jonah has morals too, and Jonah's very smart. It's funny. I remember seeing Marty's reaction when Jonah was laundering at 14 years old. Marty was so proud. It's so, wow. It was so funny. But yeah, at the end of season 2, I believe, they, I don't know if this was season 2 or season 3. I remember Marty and Wendy, they were, no, they were, I remember this therapy session. They were both bribing the therapist to be, so the therapist could be on their side when talking about their marriage problems or whatever. And basically the therapist admits, like what does it say when the husband and the wife both bribe the therapist? And she says, you're both paying me off. And then Marty and Wendy let their true feelings out in front of the therapist, accidentally confessing that, you know, they're in a drug cartel and all of it. Marty destroys Wendy in that whole thing. It's very, very satisfying to see. So Sue, who is a therapist, Marty says this all in front of Sue. Sue is shocked, and Marty's like, okay, how much do you want? How much money do you want so you don't say anything? And Sue's like, it's not about the money, it's about you guys. And like, what's happening? You guys are in danger. But then Marty's like, how much do you want? And then she's like, the therapist is like, ooh, I want a lot. So Marty's like, okay, that's what I thought. And, it's funny. So Nelson, therapist gets $100,000 from the cartel, or Marty. Then the therapist drives to the bird's house in front of Helen, who is the Navarro cartel accountant or lawyer, and she drives in a freaking golden Lambo because they paid her $100,000. So Helen's like, okay, what did you tell her? And you're like, we accidentally confessed to being in a drug cartel. It's no big deal. So Helen goes over to see Sue, who is the therapist, in a therapy session, and she's like, do you feel satisfied with the compensation? And Sue, she got too greedy. She just asked for more money, and Helen's like, don't worry, it'll be taken care of. And from there, I already knew what was gonna happen. So then Nelson gets called up to go to Sue's house, and at first Nelson seems pretty shocked because, I mean, I don't think he thought it was gonna be like an old lady, but yeah, it's unfortunate. So Nelson goes into a therapy session, and he talks about, I think this was season 3 actually. So at the end of season 2, Ruth's dad ends up getting killed. So basically Ruth's dad attacked Marty and Wendy's daughter, Charlotte, saying, you know, how'd you get that money? Did your dad give it to you? And Charlotte's like, no, I made it myself, because she's trying to just get emancipated out of the family. And then 3 is just trying to protect Charlotte. She's like, Uncle Cade, she's telling the truth. And then Cade punches 3 in the face, and he grabs Charlotte by the hair and just drags her. And then Ruth saves Charlotte. And so Wendy is pretty pissed off after hearing this. And Wendy's like, this is $500,000 in the bag, alright? So just leave town. You have $500,000 and just leave us alone. And then Cade takes the $500,000. He's just driving away, and then bam, Nelson shoots him, and basically there was a dog in the middle of the road. I think Nelson purposely he killed a dog, or I don't know what happened there, because that's the same dog he mentions in a therapy session. That in the therapy session with Sue, he says that he lost a husky dog and it got hit by a car. So it seems like Nelson might have ran over the dog and he used it. It was definitely planned to get Cade to stop in the middle of the road and get the money back. So I don't know what if he just killed the dog and he's just making up the story. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It seemed like Nelson didn't want to kill the therapist. I mean, when she gives him advice, he likes it, and when she asks what does he do for a living, he seems pretty hesitant, but he then pulls out the gun and then yeah, he kills her. But there was no mess made, so it seemed like I think he might have just been using the gun to cooperate with her and to make her do what he wants. So he probably just strangled her to like not make a mess. I don't know, very disturbing, but yeah. Then they Nelson and Helen, they end up destroying her car to they sink the car into like a lake so they could destroy evidence, no trace of evidence. And then when they're sinking the car, Nelson's like, she was a good listener. So I mean, Helen's like, do you ever get tired of this? And Nelson's like, not really now. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess he never really cared about the therapist. And then she's like, good. But then you see Nelson at the end, and you can kind of see I think he did care about the therapist, and he didn't want to kill her. But yeah, that was unfortunate. Then season 3 was crazy. With season 2 though, Wendy had to be greedy. Basically, Marty was trying to find any way to get out of the cartel, and eventually he did. He found identities, new identities they could use, and they would move to Australia. And Marty was like, alright, I got the identities, we can leave now, we can escape the cartel. And then Wendy got greedy and thought of the power, because Helen was, stroking Wendy's ego, and yeah, Wendy's like, nope, we're staying here. And Marty's like, no, I worked too hard to get us out of here. But yeah, Wendy's like, nope, we're staying. Cade gets killed, they get the money back, and Marty's like, Charlotte, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to emancipate yourself now. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. It was a really disappointing. I feel bad for Marty. I mean, he should have just taken the kids and leave. I mean, that's ironic too, because Wendy wanted out of the cartel, and she had the opportunity to when some politician guy, like, I guess, fell in love with her, and like, I can get you away from Marty. Just come with me, take the kids, we can leave. And it just eventually, they just didn't end up doing it. She didn't take the offer. And when she did want the offer, it was too late. This house right here. Boom! We bought this house right here. Yeah, look at this. This is a nice house right here. I like it. Like this house. Boy, I like it. I like this house a lot. It's pretty nice, pretty cool. Look at it, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, man. Yeah, in season 3, I guess, well, actually season 2, the ending of season 2 was pretty wild too, because Roy gets killed, the FBI agent. Roy, in my opinion, he was kind of like an anti-hero in the whole situation, in the whole show. I mean, he definitely was not a good guy. He's a sociopath. He definitely wanted to do the right thing by taking down the Navarro cartel. He's very passionate about that, but he didn't care who he hurt in the middle of just doing that. There's this girl named Rachel who Marty ends up, I guess, having a relationship with while him and Wendy are separated. And because after the whole Gary situation, him and Wendy were just separated. So Marty and Rachel are just, and Roy used Rachel as an informant and made her take a lot of drugs for some reason. I don't know why, but Roy was kind of a creep too. It was just weird. He was a weird guy, but I mean, he's just an anti-hero in my opinion. But yeah, Roy ends up getting killed by Cade because Cade's like, I saw the Bird family assault my daughter because affiliates with Marty and basically the Navarro cartel. They kind of just tortured Ruth, and yeah, and it was messed up. And then Cade's like going to, I guess, Roy, and it's like, I'm giving you Marty Bird, and Roy's like, I think you're desperate using me as a get out of jail free card. And he's like, you know, Russ deserved better. And when he said Russ deserved better, Cade just snapped and hit him with a lunchbox in the face. And then he just kills Roy, which was kind of just unexpected because like Ozark is very nonchalant about when they kill off a character. Like, no dramatic effect or anything, no pause. They just go straight into killing the character like they were nothing. Pretty realistic, actually. Okay, so it is now April 30th. I started filming this video at 5 o'clock, or yeah, around 5 o'clock at April 29th, the year since Ozark finale came out. But now, I was at a friend's house, so sorry, it's been a while. But it won't feel like that because, well, I mean, it's in the same video. Whatever, let's keep talking about Ozark. Also, another thing I want to mention is that, Roy was kind of hypocritical. I mean, he, threatened to, out Russ for, paying for a male escort. But, I mean, Roy did the same thing in the show. Let's talk about Season 3. Okay, Season 3. Now, this is where it gets good. I mean, it's been good, but this is where it gets, like, even crazier, okay? So, basically, Season 3, they're staying. Charlotte doesn't emancipate herself anymore. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Season 3. Well, we finally get a reveal of who Navarro is. This FBI agent who's sort of working with Marty Bird. Maya Miller. Yeah, that's her name. In this one, there's like, Ruth owns a casino because the Birds have, owned 2 casinos, and one of them they got from Carl, and Carl didn't want to sell the casino, and he has a really, really rude wife, but, Carl doesn't want to sell the casino. Marty's against the whole idea of getting a casino, so he encourages, he encourages Carl to not sell the casino. Now, at one point, Wendy convinces him to sell the casino. He wants to try to sell the casino, but the wife doesn't want to, and Carl's wife. And Carl, he's putting his foot down. He's finally standing up to his wife, and then his wife just, basically is just very mean to him and says that, I should have married your brother. And she basically starts like poking him with her finger, and then he kind of just like pushes her hand away. And then that accidentally makes her fall down into the river, and she dies. Now, yeah, clearly an accident. Carl didn't mean to kill her. I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with what he did, but the only thing he did was wrong was that he didn't call the cops or check if she was okay. He left. He just left her for dead. So, I mean, yeah, that was the pretty messed up part about it. Now, yeah, they own the casinos. Ruth is in charge of the casinos. And we get a reveal that Wendy Bird has a sister, Ben. His name is Ben. Brother. Ben Davis. Yeah. Davis. Now they show his introduction's pretty good. He's a substitute teacher, and he, it shows that he's a good guy. He's a good guy, but he does have his problems. I mean, basically a girl's photo got leaked, and then, Ben was standing up for her, like, and then he, basically, I mean, he throws all the kids' phones in the wood chipper, so, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they weren't paying attention to him, now they are because of their phones. Whatever, get the message. But then, when the guy who works on the wood chipper says, hey, what are you doing? Ben just starts beating him up for no reason. He just beats up an innocent civilian. So, I mean, that's a no-no right there. So, Ruth and Ben, they meet at the casino, and, yeah, we get a whole introduction. Now, Ben wants to visit stay in the Ozarks a little while just to spend time with his family. But Marty's like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be here. It's too dangerous. But Wendy encourages Ben to stay. He's like, Marty doesn't want me to stay. And then Wendy's like, stay. Stay. But Wendy, anything that Marty does, she goes against. And I mean, look how it's been working out for them. I mean, oh boy. There's this, you know what character I feel bad for the most though is Sam. I mean, Sam. I mean, he was doing great. He had a business with his mom, right? He finally stands up for herself, himself, and his mom. He sees his mom get run over by a truck. It was a funny scene. Like, I know it was supposed to be like tragic, but it was just funny. Man, that's messed up. But yeah, he ends up falling in love with some girl he meets at a club, and they're doing fine. But then the birds are telling Sam to like gamble money. Sam doesn't know why. He's innocent. He doesn't know why they want him to gamble their money, and it's because they want to get rid of the money, the laundering, and stuff like that. But yeah, and eventually Sam gets addicted to gambling, and yeah, he unfortunately he fell off. His fiance broke up with him. It was a pretty sad story. I mean, yeah, the birds just ruined his life, basically. Season 3, Jonah becomes sort of like a rebel, kind of, I would say. I mean, I know that's more so Season 4, but Season 3, Jonah's pretty cool. I mean, Jonah's like the coolest character. I mean, up until the end, kind of. We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah. Yeah, Marty sees Navarro for the first time, just to see how Navarro wants to see Marty and see, is he like worth joining the cartel? Because yeah. But then he's basically torturing Marty, and yeah. But eventually Marty shows that he is good for the cartel by fixing a red flag on Navarro's computer. So he eventually, yeah, he's good. He's clean, guys. He's clean. This game is just driving boats at the Ozark. Oh, okay. Whoa. Oh, that was beautiful. It parked perfectly. In Season 3, there's some weird stuff. I mean, Ruth basically, Ruth confessed to Wyatt that she killed his dad, and Wyatt's clearly he's it's reasonably he's not happy about that. I mean, as no one would be. I mean, you find out that your cousin just killed your dad. Pretty messed up. I mean, but yeah, it's unfortunate. 3 never got to figure out the truth either. Like, Wyatt never told 3, like, that Ruth killed his dad too. So, like, I mean, I don't know. If only 3 knew. So, but yeah, some crazy stuff happens in Season 3. Helen is still evil. We get introduced to, I think, new characters, Frank Sr. and Frank Jr. They're part of like a mob. They're part of a mob, yeah, mafia. And basically, yeah, him and Ruth, they didn't get along the first Season 3. Ruth throws him off a boat, and Frank Jr. beats her up afterwards, sends her to the hospital, and yeah, and then Ruth wants to kill Frank Jr. for sending her to the hospital, but the birds are like, no, we can't do that, man. That's too dangerous. Okay, we do not want to mess with the mob. But then Ruth's like, you killed my dad. And Wendy's like, that's different, okay? That's different. So, back to Ben. He's doing alright in the Ozarks. I mean, he's staying. It seems like Wendy really cared for Ben, her brother. Like, you can see she's being genuine with him. She's not trying to play manipulative or being psycho, but yeah. It's sad because Ben was, I know he was mentally ill, but he was the most reasonable. Like, because they witnessed a whole massacre on a drone, and Ben's like, how are we all not freaking out right now and leaving? We just witnessed a massacre. How are we not getting up and leaving? Why is he walking around like everything's alright? And, like, yeah, I mean, completely agree. And season 3 basically ends with, basically, Helen wanted the birds gone, I guess, because I guess she thought that they were too much of a liability, maybe? I don't know. But she basically wants the birds dead. And yeah, there's a sad part. Ben basically, he gets put into a mental hospital because, well, I mean, he gets into a bar fight he starts a fight with a guy for no reason. The guy he wasn't even doing anything to him. He just picked a fight with him for no reason. So after that, yeah, puts him into a mental hospital so he can avoid jail time. Ruth and Ben are dating. Yeah, that's a thing. It's a lot of stuff that goes on. It's hard to explain all in one video, all 4 seasons in one video, while playing Roblox after you haven't watched this show for a few months. It's kind of hard, alright? I'm sorry. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, he gets sent to the mental hospital. Ruth gets him out of the mental hospital. Also, Wyatt and Darlene are dating, which is weird because, I mean, let's be honest, okay? Like, at first, I thought Wyatt and Darlene, they were like a grandson and grandma relationship. It was like she was just looking out for him. But then they had to turn into a whole weird thing. And it's just so weird. I mean, it was so weird. Like, why? Why? Wyatt? Why? Wyatt? Like, why did you do? Why would the writers do that? Okay, it just seemed like she was looking out for Wyatt at first, but now they completely they no, it was just so bad. And yeah, basically Ben gets out of the mental hospital, and you know, the first thing he does is he confronts Helen and her daughter. He tells the truth in front of her daughter, because Helen's daughter, knew nothing of what her mom does. And Ben basically flips out because Helen was the one who broke the news to Ben that he was going to be sent to the mental hospital. And yeah, Ben was just ranting in front of Helen's daughter, Erin. And after the birds found out, they're like, what? You did what? And then Wendy is trying to get Ben out of the Ozarks so the cartel can't find him. But unfortunately, Ben becomes too much of a liability. He just doesn't learn. He continues to mess up and almost get them caught numerous times. And it's just like, when will you learn? Okay? So Wendy, unfortunately, has her brother killed by Nelson, who's the hitman. And yeah, it's unfortunate, and you see Wendy's crying, but that's just unfortunate. So basically, at the finale, yeah, Helen wants the birds to be dead because, you know, she thinks they're, you know, unreliable, or like, yeah. So Wendy catches on to that Helen wants to get rid of them, wants them dead. So Wendy calls Navarro, and yeah, I mean, she basically tells him that they're loyal because they had her brother killed. And yeah, so basically Helen and the birds with Nelson are gonna visit Navarro in Mexico, and it's getting tense. Ooh, who's gonna die? Spoiler alert. Like, I had the ending spoiled for me on a YouTube recommendation, but I was still shocked with how it ended. Like, that's how good of writing Ozark was during the first 3 seasons. Like it's just, you get so into it, and yeah, I mean, Helen ends up getting killed by Nelson, no hesitation, by the way. And it's ironic too because Helen and Nelson talked before. Like, Helen asked Nelson, if you get the call about me, you'd let me know, and Nelson says yes. So, yeah, obviously, that was a lie. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, he's loyal to Navarro, so at the end of the day, so I mean, he just did what he had to do, I guess. But yeah, it's a nice view from here. Look at this. It's beautiful. It's the Ozarks. Look how beautiful. We can just do this endlessly. Just endlessly. Just do this. But yeah, then yeah, that's how it ends. That's how season 3 ends. Then we get on to season 4. We get introduced to new characters. We get Navarro's nephew, Javi, who is supposed to be like the new villain guy. I mean, he wasn't as intimidating. He came off more as a creep, if anything, because he kept flirting with Marty's daughter. And yeah, I mean, I was pissed off that Wyatt and Wyatt, like, I don't know why it wasn't. Alright, it just, I don't know. It was, it was, oh man, but that's unfortunate. Then we get in season 4, I guess. Navarro wants Javi to take over for the cartel. He wants to retire, and he's working with the FBI to like become a U.S. citizen. Like, first of all, why does the FBI agree to that? Like, they know who Navarro is. Why? They know who Navarro is. They know he's a cartel leader. He has people killed. He kills people himself, probably. So, like, why are they cooperating with him and to make him like a U.S. citizen? It makes no sense. And, well, yeah, they say like, no, it's gonna have to take a few years. And then Navarro's not happy about it, and he's like, Javi, it's your time. It's your time to take over the cartel. Yeah, and then yeah, Javi and I mean Darlene, Frank Jr. and Ruth, they end up getting along again, which is good, I guess. They end up forgiving each other for what they did to each other. Frank Jr. forgives Ruth for throwing him off the boat, and Ruth forgives Frank Jr. for nearly beating her to death. So, I mean, yeah, so, Frank Jr., yeah, so Darlene, she's crazy, crazy as usual. She ends up killing Frank Jr.'s dad because he wanted money back. I forgot to mention Wendy gave Darlene a heart attack, but she ends up calling the cops so she could survive. I mean, honestly, Wendy, it would have been better if you just left her there and not call the cops. Like, I mean, I'm surprised Wendy didn't. And had to. I mean, Wendy is freaking ruthless, but I guess I don't know why. I don't know why she didn't call. Like, why did she let Darlene live? Don't get it. Darlene's not that. She knows Darlene sucks. She hates Darlene, so I don't know why she would do that. But yeah, there's these near-death experiences with the birds. Marty almost dies by Javi, but Marty gets saved. The FBI agent who was working kind of with Marty and the birds, she ends up, going behind their back and arresting Navarro after they made a deal with Navarro. Yeah, I don't know, she kind of messed everything up. But, I mean, I get it. I mean, she came off as annoying, but, I mean, at the end of the day, she was doing the right thing, but it's just, like, I don't know. So in season 4, we get introduced to new characters. Wendy's dad is figuring out what has happened to his son Ben, and get. I mean, he seems all right, but then it's revealed that he was abusive to Wendy and Ben. I mean, he would abuse Wendy by like slapping her so hard that she couldn't even stand up straight for 2 days. That's a no-no. But it seems like he's like a recovering alcoholic. He seems alright. I mean, he's a bit judgmental at times, but he seems okay, and he seems like he really does want justice for his son and wants to know what happened. So he hires a private detective named Mel Saddam, I think his name is, and he's basically trying to find clues on what happened to Ben Davis. And eventually Mel tells Wendy's dad that Ben was killed most likely killed by a cartel. And he's like, why would Ben get mixed up with a Mexican drug cartel? And then he's like, okay, well, your daughter and her husband were investigated for money laundering. And then he puts it together that it was Wendy was behind it. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't good. And basically he goes back to drinking. He comes back and turns out to be his old self, and he wants to get custody of Jonah and Charlotte, and it seems like he's doing that just to actually be concerned for his grandchildren. And he starts drinking, and Ruth basically other stuff that happens. I mean, Javi gets into some drama with Darlene. Darlene kills Frank Jr.'s father, and Wyatt tells Ruth, and then Ruth tells Frank Jr., and Frank Jr.'s devastated because the last conversation him and his dad had was in an argument, and that's a pretty sad way to end off with your dad last conversation. So yeah, and then Javi and Darlene get into some drama, and that Wyatt and freaking Darlene get married. Javi, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what Darlene was doing. Well, Javi told her to stop doing stuff, and Darlene continued to do stuff. So Javi was like, we told you to stop growing your product. You just wouldn't listen. And so Darlene's like, I'm sorry. But then he shoots Darlene, and Wyatt just gets caught up in a crossfire, and Javi says, sorry, whoever you are. And he just kills Wyatt as well. And yeah, that's unfortunate for Wyatt, but Wyatt should have just ran away, because he originally wanted to run away with Ruth after he saw Frank Sr.'s, dead body in the home. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know, man, it's just so weird. So, other stuff, Marty's in Mexico, under Navarro, because Navarro's in solitary confinement, right? So he's in solitary confinement, he's arrested, whatever. So Marty's going to Mexico to help, and there's also a situation, they meet Navarro's sister, Camila, and Marty goes down to Mexico, and Navarro's like, so basically Ruth gets revenge for Wyatt, right? Because she hears the news that Wyatt was killed, and she's like, who did this? I know you know. And the birds say, oh, we don't know. But then Jonah's the rebel, he's working for Ruth, and he's saying, like, I can tell you who he is. He says who killed Wyatt, and the birds are warning her, like, don't do this. If you do this, our life is gonna fall apart. And Ruth's like, I don't care, man. Like, he killed my cousin. So, she kills Javi, and yeah, it was unfortunate. To Well, not unfortunate for Javi, but I guess it's just because Claire. Okay, so they're working. The birds are working with this other uh girl named Claire to help. Uh, oh God, there's so much info to just explain. I mean, Ruth and Wendy, they don't like each other because, well, Ruth was dating Ben, and, you know, Wendy doesn't like Ruth because she got Ben out of the mental hospital where he was safe, and, yeah, understandable from both sides, but I mean, yeah, so much info. Okay, so Navarro finds out about Hobby's death, right? And, he can't go to Mexico because he's in solitary confinement, so he tells Marty that, uh, he says to Marty, you tell them that I killed Javi. I must take the blame for it. So I guess there's no suspicion. I don't know the reason for it. I forgot. It's a lot to process. So Marty goes down to Mexico. He says it. Navarro's sister Camila. So Javi was Camila's son, right? Because Javi was Navarro's nephew. So yeah, and Camila does not like hearing the news that her brother killed her son. So Camila, uh, all right, she just hires a hitman in prison to, just try and kill Navarro. Navarro gets stabbed a few times, but he ends up surviving and choking out the hitman. And yeah, so Marty and is wondering like who ordered the hit. So he's back in Mexico, right? He's basically taking charge of what's going on, and yeah, there's he's checking people's, I guess, accounts, and I guess see how they're doing financially. And there's this one cartel member, Arturo, and he was shows that there was like some errors in his thing, like I forgot, in an account, but it turns out that he was skimming money from the cartel, and he was playing it off and blaming the accountant. But yeah, Arturo was skimming money from the cartel, and Marty basically just tortures Arturo the same way that Navarro tortured him. So it turns out Marty's not that good of a guy, and he's just, yeah, Marty sucks. Okay, Marty became Will Smith in season 4, in my opinion. He's a cuck. He's a cuck. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I know I shouldn't say that on this channel, because you don't have to know what that is, alright? But he's a cuck. Alright. So basically, let's go. Okay. So eventually, Marty tortures Arturo to the point where he falsely confesses to ordering a hit just so the torture can stop, and Marty has him killed. But Marty can't put two and two together to know, hey, the Camila, Navarro's sister, thinks that Navarro killed her son. So she probably, sent out a guy to kill him because, she had her son killed. But no, Marty is clearly, for some reason, he's just not that smart. He's just dumb, and yeah, it eventually, yeah, it just doesn't go well, and Arturo basically gets killed off, and so yeah, Marty then realizes that it was Camila behind it, and he's like, I had an innocent man killed. You did. I mean, it wasn't really innocent because he was part of a cartel, but yeah, innocent in the fact that he didn't order the hit on Navarro. So unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. I mean, Marty, you're gonna have to live with that for the rest of your life, but he doesn't care. All right. So let's go back to Wendy's dad, Nathan. That's his name, Nathan Davis. So he wants custody of the children of Wendy to protect them, supposedly. which is reasonable because I mean they I mean they're part of a drug cartel family, so they're about to go to court, and basically Mel, who's the private detective, he's gonna show up and make the case for him, but the birds, they somehow pull it off, like saying, you can get your old job back as an LAPD cop. Because Mel was a cop before, but I guess he got fired. Uh, I don't know. I forgot. But he was like an addict, a drug addict, I think. He got fired as an LAPD cop, so he became a private detective, private investigator. So Mel's like, screw you guys, for like, because clearly the birds give him the opportunity to become a cop again, just so he doesn't represent Nathan, who wants custody of the bird's kids. So he ends up not showing to the hearing of the court where they get custody and stuff. Uh, yeah, so Nathan's like, oh god, like I'm screwed. It seems like the birds are gonna pull away with this and that they're just gonna, get their children, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They say, you know what, uh, we'll let the children decide because Jonah lived in a motel, which is true. He did live in a motel, uh, by himself because when he was working with Ruth, he moved out of the house after finding out that Wendy killed Ben, and understandably he's upset. So he moves out and he works for Ruth. The thing is, he was working with Darlene too, and Darlene, uh, you know, cut Jonah's hair. So, I mean, yeah. There's also this corrupt sheriff who was working with Darlene. Sheriff Nix was his name. And he ends up getting killed by Javi after he actually tries to do his job for once. And oh boy. So the children of Charlotte and Jonah decide that they want to stay. They want to go with Wendy's father, Nathan. They want to go with Nathan. And Wendy's like, "You're kidding me." And then Marty's like, "Well, why don't we just talk about this?" And then Jonah's like, "All you do is talk. Nothing changes." Which is true. Which is true. All they do is talk. They always say that something's gonna happen. It goes the complete opposite. So nothing really changes. So yeah, they want to go with Wendy's dad, and Wendy's is basically on her knees begging Nathan to not take them. And Nathan's like, "I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm just doing this to keep my grandchildren safe." And yeah, I mean, Wendy then checks herself into a mental hospital, the same mental hospital that Ben was checked into, in order for her to get her kids back. Basically, like telling Marty, "I'm not gonna get out of this hospital if you don't get my kids back. If you don't get our kids back." So Marty goes to Ruth, saying, "You have to help me get my kids back because, well, I mean, it's your fault that we're in this situation because you killed Javi," and yeah, basically something like that. And then Marty threatens Ruth, saying, "If you if you don't if you don't tell if you don't get my kids back, I'm gonna tell Camila everything that you killed Javi, her son." And I don't know why Ruth didn't just say, like, go ahead, tell her, because if you tell her, she'll know that you knew, and that you had involvement, that you were a witness, and you didn't say anything, and that, basically almost got her brother killed for nothing, and let her suspect him. Like, you see, like, she could have just said that, but she's like, "You're really just threatening me," and she goes along with it. She tries to get the children back from Nathan, and this is after Nathan goes back to his old self now. When she goes to his house, he's going back to his old alcoholic self and his drunk self, and he's being perverted towards Ruth, kind of just a jerk because he's drunk. And so Ruth goes to visit Wendy in the mental hospital, and they basically apologize for each other's their fathers. When Ruth says that she's sorry that Wendy has to grow up, Wendy has such a, rude father, abusive father, and Wendy apologizes for killing Ruth's dad. So yippee! So Ruth talks to Nathan again. Nathan basically says, that they basically just drink almost an entire bottle of wine. She's getting him to like confess to stuff because he's drunk, and basically Nathan says the only reason he wants Jonah and Charlotte is just to hurt Wendy and make her feel shame, because he felt shame when he had Wendy, and that Wendy was like that Wendy was just, I guess, I can't say it on YouTube, but because this is a kid-friendly channel, but I can't. Basically, that she just goes from guy to guy, gets passed around. There we go. I found a way to say it, and that she deserves to feel every bit of shame that he did. And Ruth then points a gun at him, and and then Jonah and Charlotte walk in. They're like, "What's going on?" And then Ruth's like, "Tell them." And then we don't see anything from that. We don't see what happens after that scene, but clearly it's shown that Nathan tells them that, can't come with me, you have to stay with your parents. But yep, so so then happily ever after, everyone's doing good. Also, Rachel comes back in season 4 to work with Ruth in the casino, and Wendy does not like Rachel. I forgot why. I guess because she's helping Ruth, and Ruth and Wendy did not like each other at the time, and she has Rachel threatened by Nelson. Then there's this, part. Yeah, Rachel ends up killing Nelson, because Nelson goes to Ruth's house, and he's there to basically wait for Ruth to get to the house so he can kill her, but he doesn't know that Rachel's there, and Rachel ends up killing Nelson. And boom, he's dead. And then Navarro finds out. Navarro's like, Nelson is missing. This is not common for him. So and then Wendy comes up with the idea. Let's have Navarro killed, and let's have Camila become the new leader. So Marty wants Navarro to stay alive and Camila to be dead, but Wendy's like, nah, let's just have Camila as the leader. So they set up this whole, I guess, thing to have Navarro killed, and I didn't know why Camila was so on board with it, because, well, she finds out that Navarro didn't kill her son. Navarro tells her when they visit each other in the solitary confinement, like, I didn't kill Javi. That's what he said. I said I did to use his death to, like, know who did it, but I didn't kill him. And she's like, but who did? And he says he doesn't know. So Camila knows that Navarro didn't kill him, and it's a lot of stuff to process. So she's on board with killing Navarro, because Navarro said that, after he finds out that Camila attempted the hit on his life, he's like, she's gonna have to go. And I didn't want it to come to that, but she's gonna have to go. So Wendy wants Camila to stay alive, and eventually that's what they do. They plan this whole thing, and Navarro ends up getting killed by a corrupt cop who works for the cartel, and Silva is his name. And it's unfortunate. He killed his partner, his cop partner, to make it seem like, Navarro, you're really free, but then he just kills Navarro. That's a sad scene. Then Camila threatens Claire, saying that you know, if you know anything that happened to my son, because Claire did witness the murder of Javi. She was basically just dragged into it because Ruth was interrupting a meeting with the birds and Claire, the business meeting. Claire's not a bad person, by the way. She doesn't work with like the cartel or anything. She's just trying to do good, and basically, Camila's like, if you know something about my son that you haven't told me yet, I'll forgive you this one time. So basically, she's like, if you don't tell me right now, and I find out later that you did know, you're dead. You are dead. I will show no mercy. And that ends up having her to confess that she knows who did it. She says it was Ruth. And she says that she was alone, so no one else gets killed. The birds, because the birds were there too. And honestly, I think if most of us were Claire, we would have done the same thing. Alright, let's be honest. It was either her life or Ruth. And Ruth basically dragged her into the situation because she was held at gunpoint to basically watch this happen, to let Javi's death happen in her office. So, I mean, I don't blame Claire for ratting out Ruth. So, I mean, like, I don't blame her. It's just me. I just don't blame her. Alright, so eventually Camila confronts Ruth about this, and Camila, the reason why the birds don't do anything to intervene is because Camila threatens the birds, like, if you try to intervene with this and try to save Ruth because I know you're close to her, I will kill your kids, even though they have nothing. Like, basically, it's standard cartel stuff. They'll just go after your whole family if you mess with them. It's messed up. But yeah, and so the birds do nothing, and Wendy's like, what do we do? And then Marty's like, you really want me to say it? It's your fault. And yeah, it's always Wendy's fault, okay? It's always Wendy's fault. But yeah, Camila eventually ends up confronting Ruth, and Ruth basically stands on her ground and says, no, I'm not sorry. She's not pleading for her life. She just says she's not sorry. And Camila ends up holding the gun at gunpoint, and I don't know why she held the gun up for so long. Like, she could have easily just killed her. Now, there's two options in my mind that come to mind when she held the gun for so long and aimed it at her for so long. It was either A, she just wanted to make her suffer because, a bullet is just a quick way to go out. She wants to make her feel, suffer, and fear. Or B, she actually respects the fact that Ruth didn't, back down from, and stood her ground, unlike Claire. So, Camila eventually kills Ruth, and we don't know what happened with 3, actually, because 3 is now the only Langmore alive. He's the only person alive, so I think they need to make a spin-off of 3, in my opinion, because we have no idea what happens. If he's a foster child, if he's living with Rachel now, there's nothing shown. And I don't know, man. But basically, at the end, the birds, they're just, they're Marty and Wendy, they're reliving this. They're like thinking, like, they go back home, they're like, oh my god, this is terrible. And Jonah and Charlotte, I'm guessing they don't know anything about Ruth's death or anything. So then, at the end, the detective, the private investigator, he's outside of their window. He broke in their house to obtain Ben's ashes, which were kept in a cookie jar. So, he was obsessed with the cookie jar because, like, why isn't there no cookies in the cookie jar? Because it's been said that there's no cookies in there. So, he's like, I couldn't do my job. He didn't take the job opportunity for him to be a cop again because he was too busy thinking about the birds. He was just too busy thinking about you people. So then he gets the jar and he's like, you know what this leaves? DNA, evidence. He basically catches on to them and basically is like, you guys probably have like a sick crematorium, and yeah, they do. So, and then Marty's like, we can pay you just to not say anything, name your price. Then Mel goes on this whole speech like, you guys don't get to win, alright? It's not how life works. And then Jonah, out of nowhere, just pulls out a shotgun, and Mel's, I mean, he's cornered basically. As you can see, Marty and Wendy, they're smiling as Jonah is holding the gun to Mel, like when he's aiming the gun at Mel, and it's kind of sickening to see Marty like that. I mean, Marty doesn't like Mel. I mean, I think Marty shows the most hatred towards Mel, if with any character. But I mean, geez, Marty. It shows Marty broke bad. He became evil, just like Wendy, because he gives Jonah like a signal. He nods to him like, you know what? Yeah, shoot him. And people make the argument like, he was trespassing, but I mean, I feel like the ending was kind of unrealistic because no private investigator would confront them instead of, going to the authorities. Like, he broke in, right? He waited all that time for them to come back. He broke in, he got the jar, he could have gone straight to the authorities, but he waited for them so he can give a whole monologue about how they're not supposed to win. And, yeah, there's, the ending is, it ends with, a shotgun blast going off, and the screen turns black, so we don't know what actually happens. Now, there's theories going around saying that, Jonah, instead of, Jonah shot the cop, or the private investigator, right? That's what a lot of us believe. And some people have theories that, Jonah shot the cookie jar, so there would be no evidence. And yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I could see that happening. Some other people suggest that Jonah shot Wendy because Wendy sucks. Alright, but some other people believe that Agent Maya Miller came out of nowhere, because Agent Maya Miller and Mel, they kind of had like some sort of relationship, or like they were like flirting with each other, but yeah, and Mel, like, the theory is that Agent Maya Miller shoots Jonah and saves Mel, but I mean, the creator, the showrunner, says that he thinks that Jonah shot Mel. I would like to think that Jonah didn't do that, because it's such a weird turn for Jonah. Like, I know he, had the guts to pull this against Mel. I mean, Jonah has always been wanting justice for Ben, after what Wendy did, and he's despised Wendy for what happened to Ben. So for him to destroy the evidence after Ben's finally gonna get justice, it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's how it ends. God, that was so long, but yeah, hopefully I get this video out. Pray for me that I edit this all the way and I get this video out, because Jesus, this was a lot to explain. But thank you. Ozark is on Netflix. Ah.